Hello and welcome to Indianomics. This past few months, a lot of our conversations on Indianomics have ended incomplete, with a hope. Our discussions on, for instance, the NREGS has ended with the Planning Commission members hoping that a national ID system will ensure that benefits reach target groups. Similarly, discussions on financial inclusion with bankers end with the same hope, that a national ID will perhaps better enable banks to reach the unbanked. The Food Minister also, speaking on this channel, was spinning his hopes on a national ID to reach subsidized food to target groups. Fertilizer Minister similarly said that if the national ID system would enable him to reach the fertilizer subsidy to farmers rather than through the companies like it is now done. So all unfinished agendas hinging on a hope. And today I have with me a man who can perhaps finish these agendas and realize these hopes. Nandan Nilekani, Chairman of the National Identity Authority, and quite simply, the nation's most iconic technocrat. Nandan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. First, really, you've been, 6 weeks into your job. Do you have a flow chart ready on how you plan to roll out this identity?
Well, we have a preliminary approach. Obviously, it takes time to finalize the approach. It needs a lot of consultation. So we have a preliminary approach which has been presented to the Prime Minister's Council on this UID project, and in principle there is a broad acceptance of the philosophy. Now we're talking to everybody. So we have some ideas which we are refining through conversations.
So will you be pooling existing databases? Like, I know that my name is there in a banking database, in a ration card database, in a passport database. Will you be building on this?
We will not be pooling the existing data, but we will be partnering all these agencies so that all the prospective people who come to them for some activity get enrolled into our database. And over time we'll go to the legacy accounts and also get them upgraded to having the UID. So it's going to be a long process, because what we are doing is really giving numbers and not cards. We're just a backend which gives numbers. And the value add that we give is we will make sure that there are no duplicates. So if you get a number, you can't go and get another number for yourself.
Okay, so you would be taking the help of biometrics in that case?
Yeah, biometrics which will enable us to uniquely identify a person will be captured at the point of enrollment, and we'll do what is a deduplication check, which simply means that you take that packet of biometrics and run it against the entire database you have and see if there's any person in the database with those biometrics, and you reject it if it is, saying that they're already there on some other number or name.
Okay, so how would it, I mean, I'm already in several databases. How will you include me into all this? Suppose I take the identity number, and I understood from your press conferences that it is voluntary. I apply for it.
No, you don't apply to the UID for a number. What happens is that, let's say one of our partners becomes UID compliant from, say, 1st June 2010. Then when you go to them for a product, they will say, ma'am, now from now on this product needs a UID. Do you have a UID? Okay. You will say no. At which point they will take your details and send you off for enrollment. We will check at the back end whether there is a person with this biometrics or not. If there is nobody, we'll say yes, she's a new entrant into UID. We will assign you a number. Okay. After that, you go to another agency. They'll say, ma'am, from now on we need an UID. Then you'll say, I have a UID. So you give the UID, you get authenticated, and you move on in life.
So who is the person who is going to collect my biometric details? It will be the banker, the first person?
The first person in this ecosystem you go when you don't have a UID. It could be anybody. For example, if you're getting a new passport, it could be the passport system. If you're getting a new PAN card, it could be a PAN card. If you're getting a new bank account. So it depends. For you, it may be the bank. For somebody else, maybe the passport. Okay.
Well, Nandan, let me tell you from a customer's point of view. I see the advantage being that, suppose I moved house, then I had a problem changing a whole host of things, my credit card address, my passport addresses. Everything was a huge man-hour waste. Now, would this make it simpler for me to notify all these authorities immediately?
It would not be automatic. What would happen is that if you make the address change, you go to one of your agencies and get the address changed, both in their system as well as in the UID database. Okay. And that will be done. And then subsequently, you will have to inform the other agencies that your address has changed. But they can check against the UID database, they'll find your new address, they'll confirm it, and they'll implement it. To that extent, it'll reduce the hassles. It's not going to be press one button and zoom, something happens.
Okay, but at least I don't have to go to 10 people to change my address. Maybe one person will suffice.
You have to inform them. Sure, you have to inform each of your whatever agencies.
Okay. Well, Nandan, while the government will clearly be one very big user of the system you're creating, the private sector is waiting very eagerly, and among them the finance sector. So let's first hear out what Mr. K.V. Kamath has to say on what he is wanting from this system, and then I'll come back to you with questions. Mr. K.V. Kamath.
In the banking sector, what we are really looking for is a unique identification number for every citizen of India in the context of our ability to determine what I'd call full and complete know your customer exercise. I think this is going to be invaluable to us, and for that it would need to be scaled up across the country, leaving no gaps. So my question to Nandan would be, how does he intend to scale it up across the country so that every citizen, whether he is in urban areas or whether this is a poor citizen of this country who is somebody whom we need to include in the mainstream, could benefit?
Well, Nana, I couldn't have put that question better.
Well,
exactly. How will you reach that last man, and are you planning to reach him at all? By when? Will he be the last one in the line?
Well, definitely I think it's a very important question that Mr. Kamath is raising. First of all, this project is for residents, so it's really looks at all residents of India. As I said, we're going to have multiple partners. Those partners engage with different pools of residents. NREGA has, say, 65 to 70 million families. The Life Insurance Corporation has 270 million policies. The banks put together have maybe 200 million customers. So if all of them become our partners, as they start enrolling, they will put people into our system. Some of them will be middle class people, but for example, NREGA will give us actually a lot of the NREGA workers. Now, if we have a way of getting NREGA workers and their families, maybe we can get 200 million people from NREGA as a system. So we'll create a whole many points of arrival of numbers which address different constituencies. There'll be some overlaps, but we think that we can get quite a few numbers like that, and then we'll have a special outreach program to go after, to get numbers or give numbers to people who are hard to reach or who normally would not engage with any of this. And we'll have a program for homeless people, we'll have a program for rag pickers, we'll have a program for rickshaw drivers, we'll have a program for tribals, we'll have one for fishermen, coastal fishermen, inland fishermen, whatever, weavers. So we'll work with an NGO and others, to all of them to do an outreach to get those people to come and get their numbers. That's how we'll try to make sure that we don't make this an exclusive thing.